Hello everyone, Books with Banks back again with another video. Today more of a typical booktuber type of video. This is my May reading wrap-up and June TBR. Before we get too far along, if you're a fan of what I do here, please like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Another quick note, I'll try my best to avoid any and all spoilers for the different books and stuff that I talk about here. I'll also start with what I read, other related activities and videos and stuff, and then I'll move into my reading plans for June, just to give you a kind of framework for how this is going to go. So yeah, without any further ado, here we go. So, if you watch my May TBR, you won't be in for too many surprises, or any really here. I pretty much stuck to that plan. First, I read R.F. Kuang's The Poppy War. This is the only thing so far from May that I have a review of on my channel, so that's up if you're interested. Then, I read Graham McNeil's False Gods, Book 2 of the Horus Heresy series. I have no review of this one yet, because I think I'm waiting to read one or two more of these before talking about kind of my first overall impressions of the series and the world and how I'm getting into this. More on that later in this video. But yeah, this is the second, and I finished that one up. And then finally, I read book 1 in the classic Chronicles of Thomas Covenant series by Stephen R. Donaldson. This is Lord Fowl's Bane. I do plan to do a discussion of this book with a friend, so I won't say too much here, but it's easily one of, if not the most kind of thought-provoking fantasy novels I've ever read. It puts you in an uncomfortable position with your relationship to the main character and the setting, all pretty much right away, and I really just loved kind of mentally grappling with that throughout this book. Other than those three, I read the foreword and introduction, part of the first chapter of this, Fall and Ascent, Michael Woods. I didn't read as much of this one as I would have liked to at this point, but that's okay. I still have a few months to hit my goal with finishing this by the end of summer. So I want to give three sort of superlative awards: most surprising read, most well-written, and most fun. Most surprising goes to Poppy War. I expected to enjoy this, don't get me wrong, but I really was more so reading it for my school program and my research interests than anything else, and I had heard mixed reviews from friends. This was an absolute delight to read. Sure, there are some things that I felt were a little off or weren't my favorite here, but it's hard for me to be too critical of this book until I finish the entire trilogy that it's a part of. So Poppy War gets the award for most surprising. Yeah, I read most of it in less than a week, so if nothing else, that should tell you something about how much I enjoyed this one. Next, most well-written. This award easily goes to Donaldson's Lord Fowl's Bane. And when I say well-written, I don't just mean in terms of like the technical aspects, like the language and style, but he really finds clever ways to weave his themes throughout the story. He creates these wonderful characters for the protagonist to interact with and kind of conflict with, and wonderful scenarios to test and challenge the assumptions of the protagonist and the assumptions of us readers. It's also refreshing to read a fantasy novel that takes its time describing the landscapes and the beauty and wonder of the setting itself. It seems a lot of modern fantasy has kind of moved away from those lengthier scenery descriptions, and I really kind of miss that. But it's not just backdrop detail and like world building in this book. Here all of these descriptions play a really important role with the magic going on, because everything is all about preserving the beauty, or rather preserving the health of the natural world. A beautifully written novel, despite its darker and more challenging subject matter. So that's 2 rewards out of 3. And finally, we have the award for most fun. And this was a bit surprising, too, that this was the most fun. But I did have the best time reading False Gods by Graham McNeil. I'm really enjoying the sort of kind of mental break that comes with reading this type of franchise tie-in sci-fi. That said, while I might turn my brain off a bit for all the battles and combat, moment-to-moment gunplay, stuff like that, so far, both Graham McNeil, author of this book, and Dan Abnett, author of the first one in the series, they've demonstrated their ability to still keep me pretty engaged, and thinking on a, you know, a deeper level than just action, shoot 'em up kind of thing. Both of these authors have started to build this epic tragedy, and they've inserted interesting commentary about the role of history and the arts and religion in galactic warfare, what that might look like in this setting. But yeah, I've had so much fun with these books so far. Again, a little more on this later near the end of the video. Now, that's the May reading wrap-up, but what else other than reading have I been up to? A quick recap of my videos for May, if any of these might sound interesting to you and you want to go back and check them out. First, I did my May TBR, went through my plan to read basically everything I've talked about here so far. Then I did a kind of a best books that I've read for school since I've gone back to school, and I had a lot of fun doing that, revisiting some of those really fascinating and intense reads. And then I did my review of the Poppy War. And then my most recent video was a deeper dive into 3 characters and their role, kind of side story, in Book 7 of Erikson's Malazan Book of the Fallen and Reaper's Gale. I'm really happy with how that last video turned out. I also was so grateful to be invited to and to participate in a Malazan hot takes discussion with David at Four Corners of the Page, Joanna, Philip Chase, and Shay, and we did that over on David's channel. I'll link all of those channels below. That discussion was, I had a blast with that, and it was great to see some folks again and to meet other people for the first time. Yeah, that was so much fun, and I'm looking forward to hopefully doing more similar conversations in the future, especially all things Malazan. So yeah. That's everything that was. Now moving on to the June TBR. Fair warning, it won't be that surprising. It's pretty much just a continuation of everything from May. So first up on the list of what I kind of need to tackle is The Dragon Republic, Book 2 in our Kwang's Poppy War series. I'm already a little bit into this one. I'm enjoying it so far, so that's the first thing up on the list. And then I am going to read Book 2 of Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, the Ill-Earth War, sequel to Lord Fowl's Bane. Excited to see what direction he takes things in this one. I'll also try to make more of a significant dent in this Malazan Jungian analysis book, Fallen Ascent. And then last but not least, I simply must continue with the undeniable fun that I'm having with the Warhammer stuff. I am definitely going to read Horus Heresy Book 3, Galaxy in Flames, by Ben Counter. Yeah, but I'll also try to start and maybe finish Book 4 of the series as well, Flight of the Eisenstein by James Swallow. Yeah, to demonstrate how much fun I'm having here, I'll show really quickly, but quick enough so you can't judge my horrible painting, kind of my first tries at painting some of the Warhammer minis. These books have captured my imagination and interest so crazily, so quickly, that I went out, got a few minis to, one of the practice kits to try to see if I could even paint these things, to see if it was something that I might have a good time doing. So first I'll show you, here are, oops, sorry, things are falling down. First I'll show you, here are kind of the 3 Ultramarines that I got with the kind of like starter set. Yeah, that guy, that guy, and that guy. Yeah, nothing amazing as far as painting quality or hobby craftsmanship goes. But these were definitely a good trial run, just to get me to start kind of learning these skills. And I'm actually not too mad about how these 3 guys turned out. But while I might start building more of an army soon, it definitely won't be these guys. It won't be Ultramarines, and it most certainly won't be 40k era, but rather the 30k period of the Horus Heresy, since I've been enjoying specifically those books and that lore so much. I've just started painting this guy right here. And for those of you in the hobby, you'll probably be able to see that I'm interested in an Emperor's Children army. I still need to do a bit more research before completely narrowing down my army decision. Other legions I'm considering: Death Guard, Word Bearers, Blood Angels, Alpha Legion. At this time, I'm leaning more towards Emperor's Children. Apologies if that doesn't mean anything to you, but if you're a Warhammer fan, I'm glad you're here. Sorry if that was a bit too much on the Warhammer side of things, but I saved it for the end because it's my most recent obsession, and I didn't want to deviate too much away from the other kind of focus of the main part of the video. Finally, a quick note about what videos you can expect this month. First, probably a review of Dragon Republic. Second, probably a discussion about Lord Fell's Bane. Third, a more in-depth video about my recent interest in the Warhammer stuff. And then finally, another sort of scene or chapter-specific analysis from Malazan. If you have any weird or boring or overlooked Malazan characters that you might like me to watch me try to dissect a little bit, please let me know in the comments down below. I think that something like that could be a lot of fun. But yeah, that should do it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great one. Bye.